All right, we live.
Yes, sir.
All right. Call all Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach Yahushua. That's all praises to the Most High God and the name of his only begotten Son, Yahushua, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. All right, the title of this short lesson is Bind Thyself to Wisdom. And we're going to start out with Proverbs 7 and 4. Let's get there.
Proverbs chapter 7 and verse 4 says, Say unto wisdom, thou art my sister, and call understanding thy kinswoman. Verse
Go
5,
ahead.
that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words.
God, so wisdom is like likened to your sister, your kinswoman. So she's like a sister or a close cousin that keeps you away from uh, a strange woman. You know, you got your cousin that she may know about a strange woman that's a harlot in the streets, and she will give you guidance to keep you away from this strange woman that flattereth with her words. So this strange woman represents strange philosophies, vain deceits. You got let me grab this one real quick.
Can I pull something up?
Go ahead while I grab this.
All right, so just like you said, wisdom is a sister. She's like a sister. So like an older sister, she's been there. She's done that. She's experienced other different avenues that you haven't. So she's been down that road. She's been down that path. She can tell you what's right and what's wrong. She's going to be your oracle. And the Bible talks about how the Bible is our oracle, right? And wisdom, she will tell you and guide you, literally. She'll tell you which is the best way to go because of the experience that she has, the understanding. Like an older sister, she can keep you out of trouble. She can keep you out of harm's way. So it's the same scenario. It's the same analogy. Like, just like a big sister would, she's going to take care of you. She's going to put you underneath her wing, right? That's exactly how it is. Okay, go ahead.
All right, this is 1 Timothy 4, verse 1. Now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter time some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and doctrines of devils. So you have seducing spirits, meaning they're enticing, like they're going to sound good. These doctrines of devils are going to sound good. They're going to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
But wisdom is your guidance, and that wisdom being these laws, statutes, and commandments. Matter of fact, you could touch on that while I grab this.
Fine. It's like it's enticing. Those different philosophies, they entice you. They'll start calling a woman a queen, a goddess, you're a king. They'll use all of these flattering titles just to get you to manipulate you, to make you do what they want you to do. That's seducing. It's seducing you to come over here and worship me, right? That's what those strange women are doing. That's what they're out there doing. They're trying to get you to come over and worship and show, just to prove that they're the right way, that they're the right God or goddess, right? And a lot of our people fall into that manipulation, that evil and wicked spirit is very deceiving and deceitful. And that's what a lot of our people fall into. And it's very sad to see our people falling into something like that because they have no answers when it comes to the community, when it comes to the black household. They'll talk about the 42 laws of Ma'at, but it has nothing to do with organizing the black house. They can't show you how to formulate a whole nation with 42 laws. It's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. So it's just confusing and it's seducing and it's leading us down to destruction. And we see it every day, right? But go ahead.
All right, Con, this is Sirach 1 verse 26. If thou desire wisdom, keep the commandments, and the Lord shall give her unto thee. So these laws, statutes, and commandments are your guidance. So how do you have a discernment of what would be an enticing spirit? What's the real from the authentic from the fake? Your guidance are these laws, statutes, and commandments. All right, let's jump to Sirach 6 and 20.
This is the book of Sirach, chapter 6 and verse 20. And it reads, she is very unpleasing to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with her.
All right, God. So it says she is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with her. So you can you can try to bring somebody into this truth, but you got deal breakers. For some, a stumbling block, you got weed. A lot of people, pork is a deal breaker, but it says she is unpleasant to the unlearned. If you are unlearned, you're not going to understand that like these commandments are for your benefit. The Most High is not just giving these commandments just he can just give them just because he wants to, but it's all these commandments are set up for you and for your benefit. But it says she is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with her. So you could tell somebody that it's these stipulations, it's these guidelines that you have to follow, and that's a deal breaker. He won't remain with wisdom. All right, continue verse 21.
God, verse 21. She will lie upon him as an almighty stone of trial, and he will cast her from him to be long.
My God, so it says a stone of trial, so any amount of inconvenience that comes with keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, that's enough, to cast her away. You can't get a line up, so you're worried about your appearance, your outer appearance. People are going to question about why you don't do this, why you don't eat pork, why you don't come out to these holidays, so on and so forth. You don't want to be questioned. You don't want to be looked upon differently. So these trials is enough to cast her away to the unlearned. All right, go ahead.
It's like it. And also, I remember this reminds me of the song where it talks about the wisdom or the fear of the Lord keeps my feet from running. Right? It's going to keep you firm. It's going to keep you steadfast and knowing that only the Most High God can destroy the body and the spirit, like it talks about in the Bible. So you're not gonna be afraid of the little things that man can do to you, whether it be casting us in prison, like it talks about, whether it be any type of trial or tribulation that we go through. We know that the Most High God got us at the end of the day, because wisdom is going to keep us. Wisdom is going to keep us in understanding, right? But God. You said verse 22. For wisdom is according to her name, and she is not manifest unto many. Give ear, my son, receive my advice, and refuse not my counsel, and put thy feet unto her fetters, and thy neck unto her chain.
It says, put thy feet into her fetters, and thy neck into her chain. Bind yourself to wisdom. But these boundaries are for thy own good. Go ahead.
Bow down thy shoulder and bear her, and be not grieved with her bounds.
It says, be not Be not grieved with her bonds.
Bonds.
So these bonds would be the law, statutes, and commandments, and that goes back to the classic 1 John 5:3. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. Be not grieved with the bonds of wisdom, because they are your good for your good, and they're not hard to maintain. Go ahead.
If I may,
Go
sometimes
ahead.
we don't really see this. We don't really see some of the things that the Bible talks about until you actually keep the law, statutes, and commandments for quite a while, right? Once you start keeping it, she'll start revealing more to you. So you'll see what the Bible's actually saying is very accurate and true, how it really protects you and keeps you away from harm and danger, because you know what to look for. You're not just ignorant to anything. So you really start to understand. That's why it tells you to do them. It teaches you to do the commandments. You know what I'm saying? Not just know them. You actually have to apply them. So it says to one of the things I would like to touch on. It says, and put thy feet unto her fetters. It says, and thy neck unto her chain. It says, bow down thy shoulder and bear her. So you got to do everything you can to keep wisdom. You are constantly in the scriptures. You are constantly meditating on the law. This is why the Bible tells us to meditate day and night, so that you're wise in what you do. You're not going to be ignorant, and you're not going to fall for anything, right? But I'll continue. Salakia, verse 26.
Go.
It says, come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power. Search and seek, and she
Wait,
shall
Salakia.
come.
Verse 26. That's going into exactly what you said. Because that goes back to Deuteronomy 6:5. It says, and thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And these words which I command thee this day shall be in thine heart, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up. And thou shalt bind them, look at that. Thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thine hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them upon the posts of thy house and on thy gates.
Beautiful, beautiful. That's it just echoes and it repeats itself over and over again, because that's something that we need as Israelites, as children of the Lord, children of God, the children of Israel, because we are children, and as children, we need to be told over and over and over again what to do, what is good, what is right, what is wrong, what is bad. We have to be told over and over again. That's why it tells us to keep these things and do them diligently. You know what I'm saying? So it says, come unto her with thy whole heart, and keep her ways with all thy power. So the brother brought out Deuteronomy 4. Was it 4?
Yeah, 6 and 5.
6 and 5. And that just shows how much we got to constantly be meditating in the scriptures. We have to always be meditating, so we won't be ignorant of Satan's devices at the end of the day. Okay, let me finish this out. 27. Verse 27. Search and seek, and she shall be made known unto thee. And when thou hast got hold of her, let her not go. Very important.
Let her not go. And that goes back to let's see, that goes back to Proverbs. I think that's in Proverbs 7:2. Oh, that's Salaki.
I got one.
Go ahead, while I just.
Okay. All right. So this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 26 and verse 11. Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 11, and it reads, it says, "As a dog returned to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his folly. So a fool repeats his folly." So again, it says, "As a dog returns to his own vomit, so a fool repeats his own folly." So I'm trying to remember the scripture we just read. Oh, it says, "Let her not go." So if you let wisdom go, if you choose to let her go, you're going to go and repeat the same sins, the same offense, the same atrocities, the same trial and errors that you did that got you in the mess the first time. You're going to be like, "Why did I get into this mess?" Because you let wisdom go. You lost your way. You didn't continue in the law, statutes, and commandments and the testimony. You didn't continue meditating in the law. You let her go, right? So you don't want to let her go. It says, "Let her not go." So keep hold of her. What does that mean? That means continue to meditate, continue to study, continue to apply these things. You don't want to just read them. You actually got to apply them. That's why being in the congregation of brothers and sisters is so important, because you're not going to apply them being by yourself. You're not going to apply all of the scriptures that you need to apply just being with your husband or your wife. You're not. You got to be around brothers and sisters. You have to be, because there's things that you're going to experience being with them that you will not experience being anywhere else.
God. And that was Proverbs 5 and 19. I was all in 7. Proverbs 5 and 19. It says, "Let her be as the loving hind and pleasant roe. Let her breast satisfy thee at all times, and be thou ravished always with her love." Always. It says, "And why wilt thou, my son, be ravished with a strange woman, and embrace the bosom of a stranger?" Like what? Why would, like, us having the one and only true living God? Why would we forsake this perfect law to learn the ways of the strangers, learn the ways of the heathens round about us? We throw away the perfect law for strange philosophies, vain deceits. And that goes back, it says, "He that is without understanding will cast her away."
God. Only a man without understanding, only a woman without understanding will do something like that, right? Because we know at the end it says, "Wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our time." So only a foolish person will end up letting wisdom go, right? You are not fit for the kingdom. At the end of the day, that's just the harsh truth of the Bible. If you decide to let her go, you're not fit, man. You got to keep holding her. This is not a luck thing, right? You got to actually apply these things. You got to apply these scriptures, right? That's what the elect men and women are going to do. They're going to apply what they learn, and they're going to hold fast to
them. Where would we at?
Verse
28.
For at the last thou shalt find her rest, and that shall be turned into thy joy.
Go ahead.
Then shall her fetters be a strong defense for thee, and her chains a robe of glory.
All right, so these bounds, putting yourself into these fetters, these boundaries of the law, statutes, and commandments, that's going to turn into your glory. These chains are going to turn into your glory. These fetters are going to be a strong defense. All right, verse 30.
And it, like you said, we read earlier, like the first verses we read earlier, she is a sister to you. So just as a sister would defend you, right? An older sister will defend you. She's going to do a good job of defending her baby brother. That's the same way wisdom is going to do. She's going to be a strong defense, right? So, verse 30, it says, "For there is a golden ornament upon her, and her bands are purple lace. Thou shalt put her on as a robe of honor, and shall put her about thee as a crown of glory. My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught, and if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent. Prudent. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding, and if thou bow thy ear unto Slakia, thou shalt be wise. If thou bow thy ear, thou shalt be wise. Slakia.
So if thou bow down thine ear to what?
Right.
These laws, statutes, and commandments.
And
Let me get go ahead.
So like it said earlier, this is something that brothers, I've seen it personally. Brothers, they know the law, but they don't apply it. You see it a lot in the OT brothers, Old Testament only brothers. They know the scriptures, they know to keep the Sabbath day, but they do not apply it. They don't apply it. You got to apply what you know, right? You got to apply these things. They'll love thy brother as they would thyself. They'll do that, but they'll do everything brotherly and how a brother's supposed to be brotherly, but then they neglect to honor the Lord, to keep the Lord first. They neglect to do that, right? That is one of the greatest commandments. That's the first of the greatest two, right? Which is to love thy Lord with all thy heart, love thy Lord thy God with all thy heart and soul, right? What kind of select it?
God, I'm gonna grab this Proverbs 1:20. It says, "Wisdom crieth without; she uttereth her voice in the streets. She crieth in the chief place of concourse, in the openings of the gates in the city. She uttereth her word, saying, How long, ye simple ones, will ye love simplicity? And the scorners delight in their scorning, and fools hate knowledge. Turn you at my reproof. Behold, I will pour out my spirit unto you. I will make known my words unto you." So these wisdom is not is constantly being uttered in the streets. So like,
Who's uttering the wisdom? It's those men that are on the street corners that are uttering the wisdom. And the wisdom, anytime you hear wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, it's from the Bible. It's always talking about the Bible. It's always talking about the laws of the Bible. So who's out there teaching the laws of the Bible, right? Those are the Israelites that are standing on the street corners. Those are the ones that are uttering wisdom, uttering and crying about the abominations. This is sighing and crying, right? For all the abominations that are being done. So like
and it says, if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise.
God.
So if you bow the ear, you should be wise, because it says, "He that turneth his ear from hearing the law, even his prayers are abomination."
God. Hey, that word bow.
So everybody.
So like, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that word bow goes into agreeing, right? So if you go into agreeing or understanding, because you want to understand, and I always want to stress this, and I'm always stressing this: applying it. If you're applying it, if you agree to it, you're gonna go with it, right? So it says, and if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise. So if you go with it, if you agree with it, if you understand it, you will be wise. You will be looked at as a wise person because you're going to be moving with her. You're going to be moving with wisdom, right? When she tells you, hey, look, this is what you don't do. You don't go to a man that's always angry. You don't go to a man because you know how the Bible talks about all of these points. It talks about generally everything. So if you apply these things, you learn them, you understand them, that's you bowing down to them. You applying them, that's you bowing down to them. Go ahead.
Like you said, if you're, you said you're going to be always moving with wisdom. That's why we say bind yourself to wisdom. Put yourself in the fetters of wisdom. Be continually ravished with wisdom.
You want me to keep going on this?
Yeah, you can continue on what you got.
God, it says, stand in the multitude of the elders and cleave unto him that is wise. Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. Okay, Con. I want to touch on this, Slakia. So it's telling the person, if you see a man of understanding, if you see a man that is wise, you cleave to them, you learn from them, you get the understanding and see how they walk so that you can walk like them, right? So that you can be with them, because obviously that person is bound themselves to wisdom. He's moving with wisdom, right? So you bind yourself, you cleave unto that elder, you cleave unto that man, and you learn from him. It says, be willing to hear every godly discourse, right? When you hear a man of understanding speaks, shut up and listen to what he has to say. Hear every godly discourse. It says, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. He says something that's a parable or a wise saying, write that down. You should be like, oh, can you say that again? Can you repeat that, please? I'm gonna write that down. It says, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. You can't let it escape you. You got to be with it so that you can walk in wisdom too, so you can get some understanding too. But Salaki, keep going.
Yeah.
Con, at verse 36, it says, and if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door. Verse 37, let thy mind be upon the ordinance of the Lord, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thy heart and give thee wisdom at thine own desire. Beautiful, beautiful chapter. Beautiful chapter.
But that's the gist of it. Bind yourself continually with the fetters of wisdom, which is these laws, statutes, and commandments. And in the end, those fetters will be a strong defense and your robe of glory.
Nice. If you don't mind, can I read this? I want to read this last part one more time. I don't know if you got anything else.
I agree.
It says, let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord. So what are you supposed to be doing continually? You're supposed to be on the ordinances, the order, right? You're supposed to be in there, in the scriptures, learning. If you're not reading, we have technology today where you can listen to the Bible. You don't always have to be reading. You can close your eyes and listen to the scriptures. You can close your eyes and listen to the lesson. You don't have to be constantly reading, because it says, what does it say? Roughly paraphrasing, too much studying is weariness.
Weariness of the flesh.
Weariness of the flesh. So if your eyes can get to the point to where they're tired. You got to give your eyes a break. If you're at the point to where you're driving too long or something like that, put your headphones in. Put this track on and just listen. I got YouTube to where I can click on a YouTube lesson and just turn my phone to where it's like on, blackout mode. And I can just listen to that lesson the whole time, just chilling, listening until I get a phone call or something like that. But it says, let thy mind be upon the ordinance of the Lord and meditate continually. You will not be able to understand these things if you don't meditate. You will not be able to break these things down properly if you don't meditate on the Lord. You have to be meditating. It's such a key part to these precepts, to the understanding, is meditating continually and applying them. It says, and in his commandments, he shall establish thy heart. So he's going to establish your heart. He's going to bring it. He's going to bring your heart to wisdom. It says, and give thee wisdom at thy own desire. Right? He's going to give you wisdom when he sees you're ready for it. Right? It says, what's the saying goes? Saying goes. It says, you get what you deserve. You get what you deserve. You don't get what you want. You don't get it just because you want it. You don't get it just because you always ask for it. You get it because you deserve it. Who's going to get wisdom? The person that's always studying. The person that's always applying wisdom. That's the person that's going to get more wisdom. Who's going to get money? Who's going to get nice things, nice cars, or whatever the case may be? It's not just going to fall in your lap. You got to apply these things. If you apply what you know, you'll get what you deserve. All right, I'm going to leave it at that.
This is Job 28, verse 28. And as a man, he said, behold, the fear of the Lord, that is wisdom, and to depart from evil is understanding.
That's fire. That's fire. Fire scripture.
So if you fear the Lord, you will obey the Lord. And that is the beginning of wisdom.
God.
Look, if you ain't got nothing, that's all I got. Just going into this little.
No, I ain't got nothing.
All right, Con. So, bind yourself to wisdom. The bounds of wisdom are for your own good. So, this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous. The bounds of the law, statutes, and commandments are for your good, and they will be your glory if you walk therein. And with that, we'll say, Call on Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Hamashiach Yahushua.
Shalom.
Shalom Barakatah.
Shalom Barakatah.